So My Hero Academia Chapter 395 is finally out, and with it comes a finale I don't think anyone was expecting, and a genuinely emotional chapter that downright got me in the feels. Seriously, this one really got to me, and it just might get to you too. But before we begin, don't forget to Detroit smash that subscribe button to keep up to date with all the Lunchtime Crew / My Hero content. And so without further ado, let's jump right into My Hero Academia Chapter 395, titled What Lies Beyond My Happiness. This chapter opens up right back where the last chapter left off, with all of the copies Toga created vanishing away and turning to dust. However, this time we get to see just how far all these clones traveled, as the story cuts to shots of the Todoroki family, Ida, and Hawks mere moments away from being slain by the monstrous horde. Hawks, having just avoided a fatal end, only being slightly sliced by one of the clones now vanishing before him, starts talking to it, commenting, Booba Gaiwara, that's twice his real name by the way, really was a nice guy. Isn't that right, Himiko Toga? As the face of the clone fades away, revealing a teary-eyed copy of Toga underneath. And as this copy fades to dust, a narration from Toga begins, with her admitting that her knife is something that allows her to become who she loves. And now, after everything that has happened, she realizes that she shouldn't have held it with hate in her heart. The story then cuts back on over to Toga, who is holding her knife and mask, standing back safely on the ground above the broken and bloodied Uraraka, who is now not only fully exhausted from her quirk awakening, unable to move even a finger, but thanks to the blood pouring out from the stab wound in her chest, she has started to slowly bleed out on the ground. Toga, watching Ochako bleed out, takes a moment to look at her surroundings, and as she notices the unconscious and injured bodies of Jiro, Froppy, and the other heroes she devastated with her clones, Ochako's kind words from the previous chapter echo through her mind, allowing Toga to comprehend that all of this, from the injured around her to Ochako's bloody stab wound, is all her fault. With this thought in her mind, Toga opens up to Ochako once again, detailing how the League of Villains want to destroy everything, and if they succeed, they would bring rise to a new world that would be a lot easier for someone like her to live in. But now Toga realizes the truth. In order to bring rise to that new world, Ochako would have to be destroyed too. And after seeing how far Uraraka was willing to go for her, and how much love Ochako showed her, she can no longer allow for there to be a world where Uraraka doesn't exist. Toga then kneels beside Ochako, clasps her hands, and begins to drink Uraraka's blood, transforming herself into the hero. Toga, now looking identical to Ochako, takes out the syringe equipment from her mask, and with a smile on her face and a tear in her eye, she tells Uraraka, "My feelings are genuine, so I will give you all of my blood," before she jabs the syringes into both of their arms, transferring her own blood to Ochako. Immediately, Uraraka feels the effects of this, as her body begins to heat up and she starts to regain a small amount of her energy, although she also immediately realizes what Toga meant by her statement and what Toga must do and ultimately give up if she wants to save Ochako. As the blood is being transferred, Toga explains that Twice did this very thing during their fight against the Meta Liberation Army to save her life, except Twice used a clone. And because Toga no longer has access to that ability or any more of Twice's blood, she assumed that the best substitute was to just transform into Ochako herself. In hearing this, Uraraka, with what little strength she has now, starts to plead with Toga, begging her to stop. But Toga ignores the hero's pleas and continues with the transfusion, while also stitching up the wound on Ochako's stomach. And as she does this, Toga tells Ochako that she really seemed to be genuine when she offered up her blood for the rest of her life. Toga goes on to say that Ochako could very well have just done what the majority of other heroes would have done and performed the heroic action of killing the crazy villain. But Instead, she decided to give help to the villain that wasn't even asking for it and save the very person who hurt all of her friends. Toga then ends this little speech by calling out Ochako, claiming that she is really weird. Ochako then replies to this by claiming that Toga is the weird one for doing this transfusion, trying to save a hero's life. But Toga merely responds to this, stating that it's not weird for her. She never really followed anyone else's rules in the first place. She always lived and will always live the way she wants to. Which is why now she won't let herself get arrested even if it's on Ochako's terms. Toga then apologizes to Ochako for the stabbing and for yelling at her, and she goes on to say that Toya, aka Dabi, burned down the house that forced her to be normal, and that did make her happy. However, even though the house was gone, the wounds in her heart weren't, and Ochako was the only person to recognize this, and that Toga's pain was still real. Even though it wasn't the easiest thing to do, Ochako still managed to touch Toga's heart and make her feel lighter inside. Toga, now looking drained and tired herself, then lies beside Uraraka before saying, "Thank you so much, Ochako-chan. I was so happy." And as Toga's blood continues to be transferred, Ochako cries out, "Himiko-chan," as Toga herself leaves her with a simple smile. The scene then temporarily fades out as Toga's narration continues, saying that she used to drink people's blood to show them the absolute love she had for them, and because she was envious of the love she would never receive back. But if the world was different and someone did love her back just once, she could have given her blood to so many different people. And if that happened, the world just might have been a slightly easier place to live. We are then greeted with the image of Himiko Toga back in her classic outfit in an open field, releasing a small bird and letting it fly back into the sky. And as she looks up after it smiling, the story cuts back and we see Toga lying motionless with her arms wrapped around Ochako, as her narration comes to an end, stating, "But still, I am Himiko Toga. I lived the way I wanted to, and I was a normal girl with the cutest smile in the whole world." And that's it for chapter 395. If you liked this video, don't forget to leave a like. For more My Hero content, subscribe to the Lunchtime crew. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. It's lunchtime!